Good evening, everyone. My name is Ashley Mateos. I work for the Carl-Schurz-Haus, which is the German-American Institute here in Freiburg, Germany. I'm in charge of our German-American business community. I'm here tonight with Raphael and Delia from Beazy tonight, which is a creative startup from Berlin. And they're going to talk to us a little bit about developing a digital marketing strategy. Raphael and Delia have a presentation prepared for us, so they will go through some slides, and then I will keep an eye on the chat to gather questions, and then we'll have a little bit of question and answer interaction after the presentation. So without further ado, Raphael, I'll turn things over to you.
Okay, so first I'll start presenting a bit of myself. My name is Raphael. I'm the head of content on Beazy. And today we're going to talk about digital marketing in general. This presentation is more specifically into video because video is like in the forefront of any digital strategy today, just because of how internet is evolving and how people are going towards a more video-centric kind of consumption in the internet. If you think about Instagram Reels, TikTok, everything, it's the most consumed kind of content. But this applies for any kind of content, being like a blog article or photos, social media posts, all comes together. But here I will focus a bit more on video, just because it's a bit more complex as well. And yeah, it's what is bringing the most return these days in the marketing. First of all, before you start, just give a bit of context. So why I am talking about this in my video. I will talk a bit about Beazy, what we do. Basically, we are a one-stop shop for content production. So our idea is that companies that don't have the resources or the knowledge for creating content, they can outsource this part of the strategy, so you can focus on the strategy itself, like the pre-production, the planning, what kind of content and everything, and analyze if it's working or not, and yeah, focus on the growth instead of learning how to use a camera or having to hire freelancers or looking at many people's portfolios. So all of this is very time consuming, that it's time that you could be spending on the stuff that actually matters. It's like the strategy, like figuring out who are your customers, how to talk to them. This whole strategy is way more important than the production itself, because the production is just bringing your idea to life. But your idea and how you talk to your customers, this is not really in the production. And this is, yeah, the main part of the whole strategy. So yeah, what we do is basically we have a database kind of creatives, of filmmakers, photographers, and everything, and we just match the best creatives to the brand, so they can get like a personalized, stylized content specific for their brand. So you don't have to go and find them yourselves. You just come to us and talk more on what you need and everything, and yeah, we try to find the creatives for you. So what we're going to be learning here today is basically understand what you need to plan a successful strategy. Plan each, here it says video, but like content, all kinds of content according to your marketing goals. And also create videos that engage the customers. And again, this is not only about video, any kind of content, see what's working, see what's not, know how to measure it, and then can go back again and with more information about your customer, what they like and what they don't, just come up with the planning phase again, and yeah, just optimize your content strategy. And yeah, with that being said, the other side. And here, so why I'm talking a lot about video. As I said, today the internet is moving towards a video-centric kind of consumerism. We don't read articles anymore. We still do when you are like in the research phase, very like going deep into some topic, but usually when you are just in discovery or if you find something interesting, you share, it's mostly video content. How many of you guys start like sharing like, oh, I saw this very nice article, here is the article, you can read this in like 15 minutes, you know? And if you just share a video that is like 1 minute containing the same information, it's a way easier way to convey that information. So it doesn't take as much time, because what is today's trend is how can I get this information spending the least time as possible, you know? So yeah, and this is here some statistics. Why is video focused more the whole content strategy is because it's more shareable, people are more likely to share. When you boost purchase intent is like, how many of you was gonna buy a product and then you said, okay, I'm gonna watch some product reviews, and you go into YouTube and then you type in the product name and you see many like different videos to see if that product actually fits your needs or not, you know. So many people need that like proof that the product is worth, and there is no better way to communicate that than video. And yeah, not a surprise when you have a video, people are more hooked because you have way more engagement. You can try to explain in words as good as you want. It's not the same as just getting the product and showing in a video. Is a way more simple way and way more like fast way to get to the point, to describe maybe a feature or describe a specific characteristic of a product. Maybe you need like 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, and it's very hard to express that into words. And then you have like words plus photo and all of these, but showing is way easier. That's why also people tend to go more to videos when they are in this phase of consideration. And is also, coming again, it's an easier way to convey your message because you have all the visuals, the sound, you can like work with many different kinds of media and put them together in a video. You just don't have just photos or just words or just sound. You can put everything together into a video. So this makes way easier to convey the message you want to convey to our customer. And this here is a quote that I got from the head of product of Instagram himself. So the head of product of Instagram just said like a month or so ago that even Instagram, which was supposed to be a photo sharing app, is no longer just a photo sharing app, because they understood that if they kept just investing in this type of media and the world and the consumers are wanting other type of media, which is video, they would like lag behind. And they just saw this happening with like TikToks. What is TikTok? Short form video. People like the attention span is getting every day like smaller, and yeah, short form videos is what is trendy these days, and it's trending for a reason. It's trending because this is what people want to consume. Because I want to show me everything I need in under a minute, so I don't have to waste my time trying to figure out if the product or service is going to fit my needs or not. So in the end, it's more about like saving your customer time and effort, giving him exactly what he wants to see. And then we go, okay, video then is the trendy thing right now. But it is tricky because not many people have experience with video production. So what makes a good video? Why there is an ad that if you see on the TV, you're gonna tell all your friends, and if there's other videos that you couldn't care less. So there is ingredients kind of to make a good video. The planning that will make your video relate to your customer. And this is having a specific goal. So you know why you're doing the video, you know what you want the customer to do or to get information, what is the information you want to pass. The format of the video, especially with the different social medias and different platforms. Another very, very important thing, the audience, knowing who is your audience. And yeah, this will get a bit deeper in the next slides. But if you try to do a video talking to everyone, you will be speaking to no one. Because if you're not talking about the problem I have, I will not be interested in watching your video. People don't buy the product because of the features, it's because it is a solution to a problem they have. And this goes to the message. How do you convey the message that you want? How do you explain your customer that your product or service is what he needs to fulfill this need that he has? And the tone and voice goes into branding, because regardless of the product or service you have, probably there is at least 10 other people selling the same product or service. So there is a differential, which is the branding, and here is also the tone and voice. So some people are more serious, they want to be spoken more as professional, but some other people, they are more like chilled, so they want a more informal way of communicating. And this, in the branding, you will separate some like audiences. But this all comes together to make a good video. This we can go deeper and expand the idea. Here today, I'm going to do more of an overview, so you can have an idea from start to finish, how to develop like the strategy, how to produce the video, how to promote it, how to analyze to see if it's working or not, and going back. The strategy, one very important thing, is not a one-time thing. Developing a content marketing strategy is more like a marathon, not a sprint. It's not something that you go, you put people together in a room and you spend like 8 hours and then you have a strategy and then that's done. You can stay 1 year with this strategy. That's not really how it works, because you can do that and then you can come up with ideas, but these ideas would be at best estimated guesses. You think your audience likes this, you think your customers like to be spoken this way, but maybe when you actually put out the videos or put out the content, you realize that this is not really what they need or what they want to see. And then you have to go back and do adjustments until you find that sweet spot that you're talking to them personally and they can relate. And this is, it's not just guessing. You have to go analyze, see what's working, see what's not, try different things, and until you find that sweet spot. The buyer persona has to be the people that actually buy the product. And this can be different from what you had in mind in the first place. It's a cycle. So it's planning the content and then producing it. After you produce, it's time to promote it, put it out there. And when you promote it, you measure to see what's working or not. And then with that new information, more data collected, you can come and go to the planning phase again, saying like, okay, this worked well, this worked not really well. So what can we change, or what, even if it's working, what can we test to see if we can improve or not? You do the first round and then you get more information. With more information, you are more equipped with knowledge of your customer and of the whole cycle to get a second round, third round, and then as many as you need to find that sweet spot. So yeah, let's start now with the planning phase. The planning phase, the first thing you should do is to set the goal of the content, and that it will be different depending on what you want to achieve. You should have probably different types of content for different phases of the market funnel. If you're not familiar with the market funnel, you basically have awareness phase, which is basically the time that people are discovering about brands that they never heard before. And then you have consideration phase, which is, oh, I know what I want. Now I will see what is in the market. So what are my options? So this is the consideration phase. And then you have the purchase, that I know what are options. Now I just have to decide which option is the best for me. But you should not have one type of content and expect people to, I don't know, first video they see, they're gonna buy. That's because that's not really how it works. But it's really important to set your goal before you start thinking about what kind of video. And the second is knowing your audience. This is also very important, is what I said, like if you try to speak to everyone, you're speaking to no one, basically you need a very well-defined target audience. And this will vary a lot depending on the industry. I could have a very specific audience like moms who do yoga. So I know specifically who they are. They are not the young people hipster that do yoga, they are the moms. So my message to them is different because their needs or like their motivation to go to yoga is not just to get fit, maybe it's to get some time off and then like not to have like the kid just like screaming on, it's like each person has a different need, and you only can understand the need if you understand who is your buyer persona. So this is also a crucial part of the planning, because here is where you start to create the whole story of your video, of your content. This here is where you set apart from the general videos. If you talk to me in a more personal way, I will hear you instead of the competition. So this is a very important part as well in the planning phase. And then when you have both, it's time to also create your identity. Each brand has an identity. If you think about the big brands that like nail this down, you have Apple. Think different, like exactly they are innovators. They challenge the status quo. So if I'm more like a creative that wants like to change the world, I relate to that. Red Bull is like, yeah, I'm up for every challenge. So you see the identity, and you can see there is like many brands of energy drink or many brands of this, but people buy more because they relate to the brand than because of the products themselves. Because if I relate to the brand, I maybe not even gonna like look for other competitors, because I'm sold to the idea that, okay, these guys are just like me. Why would I like join other tribe if I found my tribe here? So this is also like in this brand identity, and this goes back to the tone and voice, that how you speak to people, how you portray your brand. So these are the three main things I think that you should have nailed down. And if you have these, is way easier to come down with a plan to create a blog article, video, even photos, the style of the photos. All this stuff is way easier when you have these things nailed down. And then you come to the production. So now you know the audience, you know your message, you know like how you wanna convey the message, what is the voice and tone you want to portray to create this identity around your brand. Now it's time to produce the content. And here, again, talking about video, but this goes for every kind of content. First, the thing you have to do is decide who is producing the content. Here you have basically three kind of options. Now it's getting more and more with the new technology. First, you can basically do it yourself. You can either learn how to create videos or learn how to write, or you can basically hire someone. So this is the two main ones. So the first, you can do it yourself. It's going to be a lot of time that you have to invest to learn all the resources you need, all the knowledge. I would say this is the best, would be the best way, because you have more control over all the outputs, but could be very time consuming, and depending on how many people you have to hire, it could get pricey. The other option is outsourcing, and here you can have freelancers that you go and then come and they do one video for you. These days, you can also have, for example, influencers. Influencers is a very two-knife sword or something. You have to understand who is their audience, because if you just have any influencers, their audience might not be your audience. So you have to be very careful with who you work with, because if you work with someone that has different values than you, maybe all that brand identity you're creating, you can damage that. So this requires also a lot of research on who you're going to work with. But these days, content creator is actually a job. There's kids that want to be YouTubers when they grow up. So it is a normal job these days. So this is another option. It's a bit like the freelancer, but there's a freelancer with an audience that already follows them. So you have this advantage that is not only the output, the product itself, but you also have a communication channel, which is their audience. There is agencies that will take care of everything for you, but then they will charge premium prices as well. Because it will be a lot of work to get all the production, and they have to have their own in-house photographers, filmmakers, and everything. So it's also very pricey. Or this is basically the problem we're trying to solve with Beazy. So the idea that we launched with Beazy is that we saw that there is no like easy way for you, especially if you are a small business owner. You might not have the budget that agents require. You might not have the time to go and research all the freelances and everything. And even if you do, you don't have the time to deal off like 5, 6 different invoices and then all the accounting and everything. Maybe this is also too complex for you. And this is basically the problem we are trying to solve with Beazy, which is basically you have a platform with the creatives, you have one point of contact, you get yourself assigned a project manager, and then you just talk to one person. We find the creatives, the location, and all the gear, and then you just come with the idea, and then we produce. And because we have many different creatives, it's basically like a matchmaking kind of system. You just pick who you want, and then you have different budgets as well. So yeah, this is basically what we try to solve here, how to produce, outsourcing the production that is not too expensive or too time consuming. And then you decided who you want to produce. The structure. The structure basically is the storytelling of the whole video, or even blog articles can have great storytelling. And here is basically, you have to get all the information from the planning phase, and then you have to structure. And here it's like in the middle, because this structure is like knowing what shots you need to take, knowing like all the actors, if you need or not, this is how you portray your message. So it's very in the borderline between planning and production. Basically, it's a lot on the planning, but you have to nail in production as well to get the right message across. And this goes with like props, where you shoot, and all these little things. How is your background look? If you need a set designer, if you need makeup artists, all this, depending on the size of the production, you have to take care of this. So it is in production side, but it's very linked to the planning side as well. And here is structuring your content in a form that speaks to the audience. And what is the structure in this case? Basically, if anybody's familiar with storytelling, is the most simple hero's journey. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to explain really quickly what is the hero journey. You have a main character who is, the hero of the story. and then he's like in his normal life and he encounters an unfamiliar situation. And then when he gets to this unfamiliar situation, which is like the problem he's having, he usually has someone that's like a guide that just gives him a light of how he could overcome this problem. And then you have the whole journey is he trying to overcome this problem from the beginning, and will come to a resolution where you have a transformation from the character. So the whole story, the whole like basic storytelling is based on this. This is the hero's journey. So basically here, the most important thing to take away is you are not the hero of the story. Your customer is the hero of the story. You should be the guide. If you try to be the hero of the story, nobody's going to listen to you because they don't care about your story. They care how you can help them to overcome their obstacles. Everybody has their own story and everybody needs some guidance at some point. If you can place your product or service being the guide of the hero to him to become a better person, then this is where you start communicating with them. That's pretty much the structure that you have to have in your video so you can have like this engaging kind of content. And now the communication channels, now it's the time that I stop speaking too much and I let Delia talk a bit as well.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here this evening. My name is Delia, and I'm the social media manager at Beazy. And I'm just going to talk a bit about how to promote and how to use the social media channels for your video content. So first, here in the production side, you need to know what are your communication channels, and this is as important as knowing who are you talking to. So using the social media channels, the social media platforms as your main communication channel is not only really important, but it's going to strengthen the relationship with your customers, and it's also going to increase the engagement with your brand. So the thing is, you need to choose in which channel, in which platform you're going to be active on, because it's impossible to be active in all the social platforms. And it's really difficult to choose because it seems like every month there's a new social platform that comes up, and now it's TikTok, and then it's tomorrow it's Twitter, and then it's Instagram, and you need to choose and you need to know in which social platform to be more active in. How to do this? First, you need to be really familiar with the platform, and you need to know what is the type of content that you need to share, the tone, the voice, and the specific technical aspects of each platform. And you also need to be aware of where is your targeted audience, where is it going to be. So depending on this, you will be choosing one or other platform. So once you have the video content and once you have the chosen social channel that you're going to use, then it's the time to optimize your video for that specific platform. And here comes the promotion part. Rafa, if you can go to the next slide. There you go. So to promote your video across the different platforms that you've chosen, you need to keep in mind that there are different technical aspects. And here comes the format of the video, the length, the tone, the voice, and a few other aspects. We are not going to go really in depth because, as Rafa said, we are here for 2 hours, but we are going to go briefly through the main channels, the main popular ones. So first, we have Instagram. That we could say is the most popular channel among all the brands, not only brands, but everyone uses it. So Instagram is a fantastic channel for product discovery, and most e-commerce brands and any type of company is present there. The good thing about Instagram is that it's giving more importance to video every month, even more. So you have all different options to use your video in. You have to use it in the feed, you have in the stories, you have Instagram Live TV, and you have the Reels, which is the most important one. And if you have a company, if you have brand, even in your personal account, you should be investing money and time on using the Reels, because it's what people is more looking for now. As Rafa said, we stopped reading articles. We want the content as quick, as precise and concise as possible. So the reels are small videos that you just need to share in a really small short video your message. Here you need to know that the format is overall always vertical because it's meant to be viewed from your mobile. And then we have TikTok, which is, we talk together with Instagram because the format and the ratio is exactly the same because it's supposed to be seen from a standard smartphone screen. So it's the same, it has to be portrait or vertical format video. And here you need to know TikTok is the go-to platform for the Generation Z, is the new clients, all the markets, all the business at the end have to go to create content for them as they are the new generation. And if you have a good strategy for TikTok, your company will have access to like a unique and highly engaged audience because there's still a lot of options to go through TikTok. The thing is, you need to create the shorter videos, the better. You need to convey your message in 15 seconds, ideally. And this seems to be really difficult, but it's the way to be successful. Otherwise, the customers will just scroll down and go to the next video and see if it's more interesting. Then we have Facebook, which is the platform that's the oldest one and it's always been there. And it's more suited typically for consumer products and services, but all type of B2B content can be shown there as well. And here you can use either landscape or portrait videos, but as I said, it's still there, but maybe it's not as popular as is Instagram nowadays. And then we have LinkedIn, where of course the content, the tone and the voice of the content is really different to the one that you share on Instagram. And you know that the people that is on LinkedIn is going to be work related or job hunting or recruiting or something. But still it's a platform that is trying to implement more video even more every day. So it's good that you use it. The thing is that it's completely different, the length and the type of content and the tone and the voice than to TikTok. On Instagram, here you want to see longer videos, and really important thing is that the videos are in the landscape format. At this, LinkedIn recommends that it's like that. So it's really important that beforehand, once you create your video, you need to keep in mind you have to create different formats for each different platform if you're going to be using 3 different platforms. Then we have the repurposing the content, which is the practice of reusing all the existing content that you've created or some of the elements. And this is great because if you're active in 4 or 5 different social platforms, at the end you don't need to create 4 or 5 different type of content. You're just using the same one for different social channels. So the number one benefit would be that the repurposing content makes content much easier to scale, and you're going to reach a wider audience. You are going to expand your reach. You're going to diversify your content, and you're going to strengthen your message or your campaign or whatever you are sharing at that moment. And here is when you have to create a plan, to schedule a plan. So you have your content created, you have chosen your channels, and now you want to promote it wisely. So you need to create your strategy. And if you have a campaign, for example, and on Monday you're sharing your YouTube video, you're not going to share the same day everything in all the platforms, the same content, because then only the few people that are online at that moment, at that time, are the ones that are going to see it. So you want to spread the content among different channels, along different days. So you are setting a reminder indirectly into your audience minds in the different channels that you're active on. And at the end, you will be watching the same video or the same content or similar content, but the same campaign in many different channels. And now Rafa is going to continue talking about how to measure and track all the analytics of it.
Yeah, and yeah, as you guys can see, I can't stress this enough. I think the planning phase is the most crucial phase because everything we're talking in production, in promotion, this is all thought and through when you're planning. So when you plan right, you can already have all the different kinds of content. And if you're shooting one video, you can have from all different platforms, just like changing, like, okay, we have this take, we can do it in horizontal and then also in vertical. So even in the production phase, if you have a better planning phase, you make the production and the promotion way easier if you nail down the planning phase. Now you produce the video, you planned everything you produce, and you put it out there. Now it's time to see what is working, if it's working, if it's not, because this is just as important as well. Because if you don't measure, you can't improve it, because you don't really know if it's gonna be working or not. And then here it's important to know what to track, because again, different types of content goes well for different types of different phases of the market funnel, and the results you want to get are different. Maybe if you are creating a video for brand awareness, you want to track website visits. But if you're doing a testimonial video, you might be want to track conversion rate. Each different video or content are going to have a different goal, and you should track different measurements. And this will highly depend on the goals you set in the beginning. Because if you want to have increased brand awareness, then how is the awareness? So a straightforward thinking is website visitors. But maybe you could be phone calls for your store. All depends on it. This is also depends a lot on the CTA. That's something that on the structure there, I focus a lot of the storytelling. But when you finish telling the story and convey your message, a very important step is the call to action, because I'm engaged, I'm ready to engage with the brand. But if you don't tell me what to do, I probably will do nothing. Just every video, if you want to schedule a call, schedule a meeting, visit the website, you have to tell the customer what is the next action they need to take in order to do business with you. This is crucial for you. You are the business owner. This is like, okay, of course you should go to the website. And even if the people know that they should go to the website, if you don't call them to action, they probably will not take the action. This is basically after you convince them. Like, you have the whole video to convince them that you are the right person that they want to do business with. And then if they're convinced, what they need to do to actually do business with you. This is the CTA. And the measurement here is very aligned with the CTA. And after you collect the data, you're going to see if it's working, if it's not, what is working, what is not working. And here comes another very important thing: test new approaches. Even if it's working, like, this is something that I have to stress here. Maybe you have, like, you created a video and you went from 1.5 conversion rate to 3% conversion rate. And it's like, okay, I doubled my conversion rate. That's like, it's working. I would not like touch it, because if it's working, why would I touch it? But maybe if you change something, it might go to 4%. It might go down to 2%. There is not really a way to predict that unless you are constantly measuring, and then you can keep the stuff that is working and change the stuff that's not working. And the more you test, the more you can improve upon the actual like message you have with your customer. And don't be afraid to test, even if it's working, because the worst thing it will happen is you see it's not working, you learn, you know that this not work, maybe something else will work even better. And here is where we close the cycle. So when you get to this phase, congratulations, you just went to the first interaction of your strategy. Now it's the time to get all the data, go back, sit down, and plan all over again and start again. And then you have to do as many iterations as it needed to nail down the message, who is your target audience, what's the message you want to convey, and everything. And this, again, it's a marathon. You're going to do one time, two times, is a feedback loop that you keep doing until you see like the results increasing. So yeah, this is pretty much the strategy overview. And now I wanted to bring an example of a video, and then we're gonna try to break down like all the things on the planning phase, for example. So right now, this video is like really quick, it's like 1.5 minutes. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna watch, and then think like while you're watching, try to recognize all this stuff that we talked about. Who is the target audience? What is the story that is telling, like what's the pain point of the customer, how they guide the customer to overcome this obstacle, and in the end, what is the CTA, for example. So let's watch the video.
So you need a freelancer. The obvious choice is going to Fiverr and finding designers, programmers, and more in seconds.
But you're not obvious.
You're mysterious.
You me. I'm nonconformist. You want to try finding freelancers yourself without Fiverr because you have time. It's not like you've got a deadline or a business to run or an anger management group you need to. Out of my way, Janice!
You'd rather spend your time interviewing 50 graphic designers
I prefer brand stylists.
instead of easily finding a top-rated one on Fiverr.
Nice.
Now show me their portfolio.
Beautiful.
Okay, enough.
Great bag.
Maybe simplicity just isn't for you.
So you'll find yourself in that overpriced boutique studio that charges triple for the same gig and think to yourself, well, at least they gave me a tiny branded water bottle because you know how important it is to keep hydrated.
Fiverr lets you set the budget without compromising on quality. The last thing you want are surprises or setbacks. Who's there?
It's your deadline.
Fiverr lets you set the schedule and delivery time to precisely meet your
Deadline.
Great metaphor. You can go now.
Oh, and one last thing. Fiverr puts an end to endless paperwork.
That's right. No more forms to fill out. But hey, you can probably get a qualified coworker to do that, right?
Mommy, look!
He's an artist, just like his father.
Do the obvious and find your freelancer at fiverr.com.
Yeah, so here, very specific goal here. What is the goal? Brand awareness. This video is basically for people that don't know about Fiverr. So this is a brand awareness video. Who is the target audience? Small business owners that need freelancers to do specific tasks because they can hire someone. So they have to rely on freelancer, and then they have to go through the whole interview process and everything. What's the pain point? Doing the traditional way, it takes a lot of time. You have to interview a lot of people. You probably don't know very much about the work or the other works that he did. You don't have money, have references. So all of these, it's sold by the product, which is like, and that comes to how it solves the problem. It gives you a very easy way to get the right person for the job in the time frame that you need. That's another thing. They very specifically like point out the deadline. It's okay, you need some freelance and you need it quick, you know? So if you don't want to spend a lot of time, you can just go to Fiverr. This is the solution of the specific problem that you have. And the call to action, in the end, go to fiverr.com and find a freelancer. Just visit the website. And yeah, so this is, you can see that it is very clear after you have all the planning in mind. You can break down very easily and see how they build it. And this video is a very like bigger production video. Probably was like dozens of thousands of euros to produce this video just for the production value. But you can do the same thing with your smartphone, because what really matters is not the production value, it's the message. If you nail the message, it doesn't matter if you're shooting on a phone or if you like just using your friends. If you convey the right message, people will hear. That's the most important, because people don't know about like, okay, this might look better, but you can have the same message with just your iPhone and your friends. If you nail the message, people will listen. It doesn't matter the production value. What is most important is the message you're trying to convey. So I hope you have a way better idea of how is the whole process of coming up with the strategy and the idea and seeing if it works. Again, like this is an overview and is already long. Yeah, each specific part we could go deeper and deeper. But this is basically the macro perspective of the whole strategy. And yeah, now we come to question and answer.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rafael. I'm going to also spotlight Delia in case there are questions for her as well. To your last point about production value as well. So how can you make a high quality video or advertisement if you have low tech and you also want to do minimum editing?
Plan it like very specific what you need, because again, if you have the message, you can convey the same message in many different budgets. You can have an amazing video, as I said, shooting with the phone. If you have, like, I would say, a little bit of light and a little bit of sound that like you can work with, this is way more important than the actual camera, because the camera, you can have your phone. Your phone is an amazing camera. You don't need a better like quality than that to tell your message, to convey your message. If you want to invest in something, forget about the camera. Invest in light and audio is way more important than the actual camera, because the phone cameras are amazing already. So you don't need much. It's all about the message you want to convey. Even inside the company, you can have like co-workers to play the parts of the video. If you nail down the message, it is going to be a good video, because what makes a good video is not image quality. It's how you speak to the audience.
Somebody asked about the different types of mediums. What would you recommend for example, for a tech company trying to reach an audience? Are things like Reddit or blogs still worth it? Or is it better to turn to these newer social medias like TikTok or focus on Instagram?
Yeah, it really depends on your target, what is your target audience, but using Reddit or the groups on Facebook or the groups on LinkedIn are also really good for promoting your product or services. But again, it depends. If you're targeting other businesses, then you go through to those platforms. If you are targeting more individual clients, then you have to go more to TikTok or Instagram. But again, Reddit and all the groups, both in Facebook and LinkedIn, are really useful as well to promote. And as Anna is saying, yeah, right, it's good to test in which platform works better, your promotion. You at the beginning, you might not know what is your target audience really, so you can test it out, and you can test it out on Instagram, and then maybe you have 0 results, but then you try it on Reddit and you get amazing results. But then maybe I try it on Reddit and I don't find my right audience. So testing is always a good option as well.
Another question that came through was about brand identity. And looking at a brand identity for a company that has diverse offerings, where do you kind of start the process of finding that core brand for yourself? Because of course, if you look at larger brands like Honda or Apple, they're not just an iPhone, or they're not just a motorcycle, they have other products as well. But how do you first start with getting that brand awareness when you have such differing offerings?
If you think about all these brands we talked about, you see that all of this comes not with what they do, but why they do what they do. You know, so like Apple, it's not about the product. You know, it's about why. Why is Apple doing all the technology? It's because they want to innovate, and they want people to be innovators. So the audience and the brand identity goes hand in hand. It's like who you want to do business with you. Think about like in the long term, and to be honest, a lot of it come also from the co-founder's personality in the beginning, you know. It's like what I wanna actually like do, like what feeling I want people to have when they use our products, you know. This brand identity is a more like psychological kind of topic, because it depends a lot of like, who do you want to be? Who do you want your brand to be? Not like, forget about the products. Like, what is the ultimate like identity you want to have? Do you want to be like the person who like just challenge the, like motivates other people? Do you want to be the one that like makes it easy? And then these like, then again, not going too deep, but if you want to learn more, a bit more about it, you have the 12 like personality traits of like the hero, the helper, the sage, and this is like it's the psychology archetypes, and this you basically your brand should fit in one of these archetypes as well. So are you trying to just help people? You make them more knowledgeable. You are like an everyday man. So like everyone can relate to the brand. It's not very like, oh, I'm an innovator or anything. It is more like the everyday person, you know. So you have the brand archetypes as well that helps you to go into a certain direction. But basically in the end, it like who you want the brand to be, like why you're creating this business. And so if you know the why, you probably have an idea already on how to portray your brand, because the branding doesn't come from what you do or how you do it. It's basically why you're doing what you're doing, why you go to work every day, and why you're creating this business. So if you can answer that question, you probably have a better idea of what is going to be the identity your brand wants to have in the future, basically.
Okay, thanks. I also never considered looking at it from that perspective, where you're, in a way, you're personifying the brand, where you're actually, you need to find that personality trait.
And that's exactly identity. You're creating an identity to the brand. Like the name says it, but it's too vague. And when you actually think about it, it makes totally sense. You have a brand identity, you're creating like the brand. Imagine the brand is a person, and then like who you want that person to be. And then you're gonna have a better idea of how to create this brand identity, because then your message should just align with who you wanna be as a brand, you know. And then if you think about, it's gonna be also way easier to understand what message do you wanna convey as well.
I think we have a couple of coaches in the audience as well. And so I think for them, it's also important to remember that even though they are their product or they are their brand, that's important to separate that from themselves personally. So as a freelancer or as an entrepreneur, you have your own self and your personal life, but then you also have your brand and how you're putting yourself out there, much like musical artists do or actors do as well, that you have that brand for yourself where the public sees you in such a way, however your personal sphere might see you in a different way. And I think for that, it might also be a little challenging, because then you have to think about, well, okay, I myself am quite timid or shy. However, I want my audience to know that I'm out there, I'm going to fight for you. And so then you need to make sure that your brand represents that part of you as well. So I think there's also then a difference also between actually having a company and an entity that has its own personality, as well as then you yourself as an individual. Yeah. We have a question from Sammy as well. What are some examples of a big company having good branding?
I'm going to start with very big companies. Apple, very good example. Harley-Davidson. You can have people that have tattoos of Harley-Davidson and then not even own a motorbike. It's because it's about the lifestyle. You have Nike or Adidas. Also, they are very good examples. Red Bull. McDonald's. Even like BMW is more about the technology, the advancement, So yeah, you're gonna see that, like, if you think about running shoes, you have so many different brands. The first ones that come to mind are basically Nike and Adidas, not because their shoes are the best ones. You think the best is because you use them. Like, you never tested all the running shoes. You probably, like, if you're a Nike user, you just use Nike. So you have no idea if they are better or the others because you don't buy other brands. So it's a lot of like who you can relate to, you know. If the values of the company and the brand is aligned with your values and what you believe to yourself, that's who you're gonna do business with, basically.
Sammy also had a follow-up question, and then we'll come back to your question, Anna. But what about bad branding? Can you think of any examples of maybe even a large company who just has bad branding? And I guess that's kind of hard to think of, because if it's bad branding,
I think like you can think about like a good example of like good branding and not so good branding itself is basically, if you think about Apple and Microsoft. Apple now does not only computers, both started as computer manufacturers, but Microsoft, they focus on what they're doing. They wanted to be the best Microsoft like operational system for personal computers. So they focus all their marketing in what they do. And instead of Apple, it's like, no, we are not basically a computer brand. We are the people who are trying to innovate. And they launched an iPad, has nothing to do with computers. They launched the thing for music. And if you think about Lenovo or Microsoft, all these other brands, they also tried to come to the same market, but they made all their marketing efforts saying that they are a computer brand. And now if you have another type of product, you think like, okay, but I'm buying a music player for a computer brand. Why I don't buy it with Sony, for example, you know? That is a music brand. Sony is a not very good example because they are film producer, camera producer, music producer. They are everywhere. You just know that like Sony is also very good at like expanding the product. So if you see this comparison, like I don't have examples like here right now, but you will see this a lot. When you focus on what you do it, you are restricted to that. So you can sell a lot of computers, but if you launch any other product, it's not going to be that successful. Why? Well, Microsoft has a tablet. Microsoft has a music player. Does anybody buy it? No, like most people go for Apple just because they focus all their like branding and market efforts not on what they do it, but why they're doing what they do.
Right. And
I hope this answer a bit the question. Like it's not very specific example, but more of like the difference of focusing the what and focusing on the why. For example, Red Bull, they don't even earn most of the money from an energy drink anymore. The media company of extreme sports is way more profitable because they don't sell themselves as an energy drink brand. You know, Red Bull is not even an energy drink. It's just energy drink is just the means that they brought to the market in order to create this brand. And now they started as an energy drink company, and now most of the money is not even with energy drink anymore because it's what gives you wings. Like you can do whatever you want. Just challenge yourself. Just do whatever it makes you tick. You know.
Do you have any tips for prioritizing when it comes to making choices in terms of the content that you need, and how is this related to the brand?
Well, you can share all type of content. You can go for educational content. You can go for more entertainment, or you can go for only showcasing your product or your service or your brand. At the end, it's a bit of testing as well. What is your audience interested in? Because if you are starting going to share content on TikTok is only for entertainment, and if you're going to be showcasing your product, no one is going to be interested, no one is going to be following you on TikTok. But if you are sharing content on LinkedIn. There you will have to be sharing more content about your products or about your service, or even more educational content. So it really depends on the platform and on what your audience is more interested about in each platform.
Okay, so then the priorities would also have to come from your own priorities and what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think I would like to start to bring this then to a close. If you are looking for somebody to help you with your content creation, that is certainly an offer that Beazy would be able to help you with. As well as you do, if you are a freelancer who is in need of equipment, Beazy also does equipment sharing, right? Yeah.
Yes, and also if you have a nice location that you can share with other like film productions or photo productions, you can maybe earn an extra money listing your location, so other people can come and do photo, video shootings there.
And Raphael, feel free to drop in the Beazy website into the chat if anybody wants to go there to check it out. Again, I would like to say that I'm Ashley Mateos from the Carl-Schurz-Haus here in Freiburg, in charge of our German-American business community. We try to put on a couple of events like this where our members or also non-members are coming and learning a little bit or doing some Skillshare together. We have an English-speaking entrepreneurs group that meets once every 2 months. Our next event is going to be October 27th, and that's going to be on intellectual property and data regulations between the US and Germany. It'll be quite interesting. We're looking at the legal perspective. And if you're interested in filmmaking and are in the Freiburg area, I am also in charge of the filmmaking club at the Carl-Schurz-Haus. And also of note is the open house for our library on October 23rd at the Carl-Schurz-Haus. So if you're in Freiburg and are interested in checking out our library or seeing some of the filmmaking club's projects on screen, you're welcome to stop by. There's also going to be a very large book sale. With that, I would once again like to thank Raphael and Delia for joining me tonight, for sharing your knowledge. I know that there's so much to talk about, and I do believe you've mentioned that through Beazy, you're going to continue to offer kind of workshops so that people can also continue to learn about different aspects and go a little bit more in depth, which hopefully people here tonight would also be interested in. So do feel free to reach out to them. I will also drop the Carl-Schurz-Haus website as well as LinkedIn page into the chat here for you. So feel free to connect with us as well. Thank you all once again for joining us, and please join us again. Have a lovely evening, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.